Shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin by giving all praise, honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders at the great millstone who taught me this truth, and much respect to the Akim out there laboring in his work. Peace and salutation to the hopefully elect that are scattered abroad. To you I say, Shalom. Yeah, so just want to go into another quick, news and prophecy update. You're dealing with the end times, as we currently see that we are definitely in the end times, as America begins to spiral out of control, and pretty much, this entire beast system that's ruled by the Edomites, so-called white man, in which we're at the end of his kingdom, the end of Esau's world, which would pretty much be an initiation of the world to come for Jacob. That being so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, but only dealing with the elect. All right, those who turn back into Yahweh by Shemal Shah in truth and in sincerity. And so, what we're seeing in the earth is great turmoil, great confusion. And, this is pretty much, indicative of the times in which it's going to be a rough transition, should I say, into the kingdom of heaven. Even as Paul said in Acts 14:22, through much tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom of heaven. All right, so great trouble is on the horizon, and this is where faith is going to have to be, at the forefront of, the elect as far as salvation, because the times of uncertainty are definitely coming. And, you see that with the SNAP benefits drying up, but it's only going to intensify. It's only going to get worse and worse, because basically these devils, these Edomites have a plan of world domination to snare the masses into taking this chip. And this is what John the Revelator saw on the island of Patmos over 2,000 years ago, in which Yahweh Shah sent forth an angel to show him visions of these current times, that we're living in. All right, in which he would show World War I, II, and also World War III, which would be the conclusion of America, known as Babylon the Great, by the way of ICBM thermonuclear fire. But before that, he would, see the vision of people being chipped in masses because of the outward circumstances, the famine, all right, the chaos initiated by these devils, these elites. So this is the point in which we're coming into, in which everything that we're seeing right now is pretty much a step towards that mandating of the chip. All right. So from right here, from End Time Headlines, it says lawmakers float a nationwide basic income experiment that would cover the cost of a 2-bedroom apartment. Okay, how convenient. So at a time like this, they pop up with a basic income program, right? As a form of what salvation, many salvation, because they're going to come with the solution, the ultimate solution was salvation in the form of a chip and the basic income, all of your medical records, everything that you depend on as far as being able to operate in society will be included within that chip. Social credit score, all of that, right? So this is heavy right here. And look who's behind it. Democratic lawmakers, all right? Showing you that it's pretty much two wings of the same bird, all right? Two wings of the same eagle. You got these opposing oppositions of Democrat and Republican, but in the inner details behind the scenes, hey, they're flying towards the same goal, man, all right? Which is the mark of the beast, the New World Order. So instead of reading it right there, let's go to this one right here. Okay, same article pretty much, but more detail. So the U.S. Sun, it says, check please, new October bill proposes monthly no strings attached. You see, no strings attached payments for thousands, enough to cover a 2-bedroom apartment. See that? So right now, why do you think they put this out there? No strings attached. Okay? It's to suck you in. You got to understand, like Esau is a cunning hunter. This is very enticing. So, you telling me that these people who are losing everything have an opportunity to receive a monthly payment to pay their rent with no strings attached. And so as they get sucked more into these solutions, that's going to pretty much pave way or open them up to accepting new things as well down the line. See? So it goes on to say another program is considering sending out $1,400 payments for 36 months. See, so who can't use $1,400 a month to pay their rent? All right. That would help out tremendously. You see, very enticing. And say for 36 months, that at 3-6 again, showing that Esau's behind these devils, man. See? So reading on, it says lawmakers are taking strides to roll out a nationwide program offering monthly payments to needy Americans, recently proposing legislation for a pilot to test out the efficacy of no strings attached checks each month. So politicians from several states reintroduced the Guaranteed Income Pilot Program Act this month in an effort to study the impact of guaranteed income on financial stability and poverty, right? So again, this is a perfect opportunity to present this. You got Jake wilding out, threatening to rob, loot, steal, or even kill because they can't receive a SNAP benefits or whatever. So all it takes is a small shakeup of these people out here with this economy, man. And they're gonna pretty much be begging for a solution. The perfect time to bring forth these snares that Esau got. Okay. So it goes on to say last Friday, Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman of New Jersey announced the reintroduction of the legislation, which aims to launch a pilot program to test the viability of federally funded income support program nationwide. Right. The goal of the program is to prevent more families from experiencing permanent financial fallout and poverty from an unexpected crisis. See that? So the bill should it be approved, would establish a 3-year pilot program across the country implemented by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services that would hand out monthly checks to taxpayers. So the monthly cash payments would be equal to fair market rent for a 2-bedroom home in each participant zip code, or a similar amount determined by the HHS secretary. Okay, so there you have it. And we'll read this last part. So it says the pilot program would include 20,000 individuals, okay, with half receiving the checks and the other half being a control group for comparison. See, so they're experimenting with this shit, right? Let me see. Okay. So yeah, the payments would arrive or on near the 15th of each month, and they will not affect participants' eligibility for federal or federally assisted programs like SNAP and Medicaid. Tens of millions of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Almost 3 in 5 do not have the savings to weather an emergency expense of $1,000. All right. Representative Coleman began in a press release. So with all the videos that we're seeing on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, X, or whatever, these people complaining about the economy, not being able to pay their mortgage or rent, right? You're seeing how they're pretty much begging for a solution. So again, this is a perfect time to bring forth, this program, saying that people in dire needs. You got inflation that's constantly going up, right? Certain benefits getting taken away. So the people don't know that they're being drawn to it now. Esau's laying out crumbs, and these people are following right along. They're pretty much picking up the crumbs as they go, not knowing that they're being led into a big trap. All right. In the form of them having to take a micro C hill in order to continue receiving these goods. See? So let's get a scripture real quick, because we see these things very clearly. Speaking about those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, we know exactly what's going on. All right. In fact, let's get this real quick. All right. Scripture never gets old. 2 Corinthians 2:11, that Satan should get an advantage of us if we're not ignorant of his devices. We're not ignorant of his plots and schemes, because we know what his end goal is, man. Total control. And how is he going to accomplish that? All right. Well, by his digital technology, the RFID chip. All right. And I got some more information going into that as well. Okay. So we're not ignorant of these things, man. Therefore, through this light, this testimony, we won't be snared. We won't be led into the slaughter, like the 2/3 of our people. See, because the Bible highlights exactly what Esau wants to do, especially when you go to Habakkuk 2 in verse 4, where it says, "Behold, his soul, whose soul? Esau, his soul." Talking about the top bank elites, and which is lifted up in pride is not upright in him. Hey, but the just shall live by his faith. Because this man has an agenda, and due to him compromising the resources, taking away the benefits, the goods, causing a man-made famine, man-made drought, right? Wars, or whatever it may be, pestilences. The just, the elect, had to live by faith in his word through Yahweh Shema Shai. So yea, also because he transgressive by wine, philosophies, man. He is a proud man and neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire is hell, right? Which is the grave that can never have enough, can never be filled, and is as death. Everything this man promotes ultimately going to lead him to you being destroyed, put to death. All right, and cannot be satisfied, but gather unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. And this is a form of him trying to get his birthright back. Because according to the blessing, Jacob was gonna have dominion, and he was gonna have pretty much all nations. And it highlights that in the book of Psalm, the 2nd chapter, when Yahweh Shai, the Most High told Yahweh Shai, "Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thy inheritance, in the uttermost parts of thy possession." So that's a part of the blessing right there. All right, which Esau wants that back. Okay, he feel like that blessing belongs to him. So what is he trying to do? He's trying to coerce his way or deceive his way into achieving that digitally. And that's why he wants to gather unto him all nations and heap unto him all people by the way of digital technology. See? So we understand this not as being laid, right? So yeah, he's gonna come in the form of, I got something for you. I see you struggling, you're losing your homes, right? Your children need something to eat. Well, just come and plug yourself into this system, and you can receive enough just to get you by. But we know that at the end of the day, man, these things in which they're giving out now are going to come with more strings. Sooner or later, those strings are going to be attached. You want to have to attach yourself to something physically to get these things. So I just went into ChatGPT. What is universal basic income? All right. So universal basic income, UBI, is a social and economic policy idea where a government gives all citizens or residents a regular, unconditional payment of money. A regular, unconditional payment of money. You ain't got to do nothing. Usually on a monthly or annual basis. It sounds good, right? It sounds enticing. So regardless of income, employment status, or wealth. So here's a simple breakdown. The core idea: everyone gets a guaranteed amount of money just for being part of society. Just for being part of society, right? No strings attached, they say. It says you don't have to work for it. You don't have to apply for it or prove you're poor. You can spend it however you want. And this sounds so convenient. So the purpose, UBI, is designed to reduce poverty and inequality, provide a safety net. A safety net. See? Watching these devils talk. A safety net, right? For people who lose jobs or can't find steady work. Okay. Support automation era economies where machines may replace human labor. Simply welfare systems by simplify welfare systems by replacing complex benefit programs with a single payment. Convenient. How it might work: for example, every adult citizen might receive $1,000 per month. Children might receive a small amount. The payments could come from taxes, natural resource revenues, or digital economy taxes. So the pros: reduces poverty and homelessness, right? Gives people financial security, encourages entrepreneurship and education, and simplifies welfare systems. Cons: okay, expensive for governments to fund, might discourage some people from working, blah, blah, blah. All right. But anyway, you see how this is going to be very convenient to the people, right, due to these pros out of all this chaos that's happening, right? So could this be linked up into the micro C here? Could that be the case? I want to go into this other article from the People's Voice, right, which came out October the 19th, back in 2023, which says former WF member turned whistleblower warns about globalist plan to micro C-hip the people. Right? So the global elite plan to coerce populations into having micro C-hips implanted under their skin to be able to access digital currencies, universal basic income, and other services, according to German economist Richard Werner. You see that? So let's continue reading. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and play this video right here. So right here from X, Wide Awake Media, former WF global leader for tomorrow turned whistleblower, the economist Professor Richard Werner explains how, according to his sources, CBDCs will ultimately be held on small micro C-hips implanted under the skin, and universal basic income will be used to entice people into what? Entice people into accepting this gross invasion of their freedom, privacy, and bodily autonomy. All right. Let's check this out. Some of you have already seen this from a while back, but you know, it is relevant to the times again. As always, this is prophetic news. So let's scripture. Check it out, and then we'll get back into the script and close it out.
The idea had been by central banks to introduce this, as we said, central bank digital currency. But have you ever seen an article or a video or, you know, whatever description of what it actually looks like? I mean, with central bank paper money, we know what it looks like, right?
Yeah.
Bank digital currency, we know, and you know, we've used it ourselves. We know what it looks like. But what does central bank digital currency look like? You see? So they never talk about that because people won't actually like the looks of it.
Yeah.
Because it apparently looks, and several central banks apparently, as I heard from my sources, have already fully developed the final stage of CBDC. I mean, it comes in stages, initially likely through your mobile phone, but that's only an intermediate step. And the final stage is, you know, it's small, and it's the size of a grain of rice. Now, why is that?
And that grain of rice is your entire wallet, or?
Yes, it's your digital ID, your wallet, can be your passport, your key. Now, of course, what we found with our debit cards or credit cards is they've already now moved to the system, you know, RFID chips, RFID technology where you just wave the thing, contactless.
Yes.
That is sort of the you know, conditioning us in this direction. That in the future you'll just wave your hand because you've got the microchip implant under your skin, and because, you know, and each step there's a rational reason. You know, it's easier just to wave this, isn't it? It's much faster because we always have to wait in the queues as everyone types in their numbers and all that. To just wave it, it's quicker. But the next rationalization would be, well, but you can lose your card, somebody can steal your card, and then you're just waving. That's kind of risky. Well, wouldn't it be nice if you couldn't lose it and nobody could steal it? You know, so, but it's clear that that's sort of, it is almost a step too far for a lot of people because it is a violation of human dignity to actually inject something like that under the skin. So that's where you need some more persuasion.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that this concept of universal basic income has been around for around a century, where everyone should get some kind of citizens, you know, payment. But the billionaire elites have so far not liked that. But since 2015, they've all come out. I mean, all the big billionaires and World Economic Forum have come out, oh, this is a good idea, universal basic income. Well, why suddenly now? Because now we have the technology for the microchip implant. And so when, in 2017, Bill Gates came out and said that universal basic income is a good idea, but it's too early to introduce it. Now, what was still missing? So we had the technology for the microchip implant, but what was missing was the digital ID hadn't been introduced. Now, this is where this whole COVID agenda had become very useful.
Yeah, so there you have it, man. There you have it. All right, there you have it. So this right here, more than likely, in this UBI system that is setting up, you know, as we already know, I ain't gonna say more than likely. Yeah, it is at some point. All right, in order to have basic income, it's all be tied into that garagma, and the people don't really understand that they're being led into a snare, a trap. You see, but we see clear we're not ignorant of what Esau is trying to do. So I mean, for us who want to know, man, you know, this is beautiful news. All right, to see that Esau is being used to push forth prophecy, because you know we pretty much only got three main prophecies left before salvation, because we're looking for what? Hey, the kingdom of heaven. We're looking to get up out of here, and the world to come can't come unless these prophecies hit. And we know that the mark of the beast at some point has to be mandated. That's going to be out of extreme chaos, mass famine, death, and destruction. You know, but we believe that we'll be preserved in those times. The Lord said that He will feed us and give us drink and protect us from the sword. So these are the things in which we lean on, which is why we're hastening the coming of these prophecies, these evils. You see? Meanwhile, everyone else is trying to bounce back. They're hoping and praying that the government bounce back, shakes back, the economy, you know, gets back on its feet. But we know that that's not going to happen, because it's not within the will of Yahweh Shah, man. So by being aligned and knowing the perfect will of the Most High, you know, you hasten the evils to come. You hasten the chip to come. All right, because after the chip comes what? Salvation, and then, you know, the destruction. Pretty much the elect being beamed up right before America gets hit with thermonuclear missiles. You know, and from that point on, change it to immortals, and you know, and that's going to be it, man. All right, from that point on, a new world will be established in righteousness. So to see these prophecies is, you know, it's music to our ears, man. Like literally, Luke 21 and 28 says, "And when these things begin to come to pass," and what things are these talking about? The prophecies. All right, Esdras told us to measure thou. Well, when you read the book of 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter, it says to measure thou the time diligently within itself, and we measure the prophecies. All right, according to what's currently going on in the earth, and everything is lining up beautifully, man. The uproars of the people, the perplexity. All right, the talk of World War III, the talk of the chip. Okay, which lets us know that we're there. So when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your head. So the elect are like, yeah, you know, this means that we're almost out of here, as it says, for your redemption draweth nigh. See, salvation can't come unless these prophecies hit. So we're lifting up our heads like, yeah, you know, bring the evils, you know, bring the mass death and destruction, like you said, you will bring World War III, bring the famine, the pestilences, because we believe that you're going to protect us from these things, you know. But the people out there who are in the dark, they don't know what the hell is coming down the pipe. You got Jake out here wilding out, telling me they're going to rob and loot the stores in November because they losing SNAP benefits, not knowing that they're actually playing into the hands of the elites, you know. So they're going to be snared in the evil time. See, they're actually forwarding the NWO, you know. So yeah, what the scripture speaks about, surely in vain, because we read about that net earlier. It's going to be something like a safety net, in which, you know, that's a damn lie. All right, Proverbs 1:17, surely in vain is a net. I mean, surely in vain the net or the trap is spread in the sight of any bird. And this represents the elect having the eyesight to see spiritually, to know what's coming down according to prophecy. All right, so we see what Esau is doing. That's why we're not ignorant of his devices. So if he's setting up traps in the form of the UBI system, all right, all these different solutions out of this chaotic situation, then we know that at the end of the goal, it has an alternative, objective, for lack of better words, tied into it. It all serves as a mean to snag you into these times, man, to take this man's charagma. See? So we're dependent on Yahweh Shema Shai, and the Lord is guiding us with the light to escape from the grasp of Esau. See? Because this is the time which we're heading into. Revelation 3 and 10, right? Our Lord said here, hey, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, right? Those who heard the support, believed it, and continued in it, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, going into suffering, man, right? So, yeah, we're suffering right now, but there's going to be a great reward, and it's being delivered. It says, also, we keep thee from the hour of temptation. You're going to be kept, all right, in the time of famine. You're going to be kept in the time of mass chaos and anarchy, the time of war. You're going to be protected. Not saying that you're not going to have to go through those things, but the Lord's going to show mercy. He said, we shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth, man. See, in this hour of temptations, when the chip is going to be mandated as a form of salvation, you're going to be enticed. And what's going to be attached to it? The UBI, the universal basic income, right? Let's go with this word temptation. Strong G 3986. So here it says an experiment. Hey, hold on. What is this? Lawmakers float a nationwide basic income experiment that would cover the cost of a 2-bedroom apartment. An experiment, attempt, trial, proving. And pretty much the Lord is experimenting to see who's going to be faithful or not. When you scroll down to number 2, the trial of man's fidelity, integrity, virtue, and constancy. The Lord wants to see through Esau who is going to live by faith, and who is going to fold into the system. And the ones who don't fold into Esau and take his mark, they're going to be counted worthy. Right? The elect of Israel are going to be counted worthy to receive the kingdom of heaven due to their faith. It says an enticement to sin, you see? And this is a form of enticement, but it's not to the point of you taking the chip yet, right? It's not to the point of you taking the chip yet. See that? But you can see where it's leading. So once it finally gets mandated, you're going to be enticed, just like with that UBI. But it's going to be to the point of sin. It's temptation. It says, whether arising from the desires or from the outward circumstances. See, by you losing, your home, they come, with a check for $1,400 a month so you can pay your mortgage or your rent for a 2-bedroom home. That's real enticing. If it's, incorporated with a chip, right? The famine. Everything's gonna be tied into that chip. See? So this is what we're warning our people from, man, right? In which those who, hang their hat up here in America, Babylon the Great, they're gonna be snared by default. There's no other way out of the system unless you depend on Yahweh Shema Shai. So just want to go through that, so Lord willing, you edify till next time I say, Shalom.